You probably think Itchy Boots' life is one long adventure, right? Yeah, not quite. Behind the pretty smiles and the epic drone shots is a life full of heartbreak, danger, impossible choices, total meltdowns, brutal crashes, and a workload that honestly would crush most people. The truth is way darker, and honestly way more inspiring than anything she shows on her channel. This is the part of her story that almost never makes it past the edit. Most of us know Itchy Boots as the fearless woman riding across deserts and jungles, like it's just another day at the office. But behind those upbeat edits and that calm voice is a reality shaped by fear, exhaustion, cultural pressure, gender bias, money stress, and millions of viewers who expect her to be superhuman every single week. So today we're stepping past the adventure and into the stuff she rarely talks about, the battles Noraly Schoenmaker fights quietly while the rest of us just see the highlights. Her whole journey didn't actually start with wanderlust. It started with heartbreak. Real, earth-shaking heartbreak. Back in 2018, at 31, she found out her partner had been cheating on her for a year. Imagine that. Your home suddenly gone, trust shattered, your whole life kind of collapsing under you. And instead of sitting in that pain, she bolted, quit her geologist job, sold almost everything she owned, and flew to India. People saw it as bravery, but honestly, it was escape. Sometimes running is the only way you know how to breathe. From day one, the physical toll hit hard. Her videos show those insane Himalayan landscapes, but they don't show her crawling at 5 kilometers an hour over rocks that feel like someone taking a hammer to your spine. Nights so cold her gear couldn't keep up. She rode through hailstorms at nearly 4,700 meters, minus 20 degrees. In Tajikistan, going 25 kilometers an hour actually felt like winning. The exhaustion kept piling up until it became this constant noise in her life, and none of that shows up on camera. One of the scariest moments happened in Guatemala. Her bike sank into deep jungle mud, and she knew jaguars hunted nearby. She was soaked, shaking, exhausted. She whispered, "You got this," to herself 5 tries. 5, before the bike finally moved. By the time we see it on YouTube, it just looks like a cool moment. But if you've ever been truly terrified and alone, you know that wasn't a moment. That was survival. But honestly, her hardest fights aren't physical. They're mental. On the deadly roads of Tajikistan, she hit such a breaking point that she started screaming inside her helmet, "What am I doing here?" She said she didn't even recognize the person she'd become, and the screaming just made her panic spiral harder. Eventually, she had to learn to be her own coach, her own motivator, because when you're alone in the middle of nowhere, your brain is the only thing keeping you alive. Once your mind breaks, everything else goes with it. And then there are the mechanical failures. These aren't little inconveniences, they're life or death problems. In Liberia, she rode hours to a motorcycle shop that literally didn't exist. Wrong address, wrong everything. She ended up relying on a car mechanic who had never even seen her kind of bike before in Angola. Her bike nearly died after a river crossing. During the Kalahari rally, she got a flat front tire with over 600 kilometers of torture ahead. And no tools to fix it, Tajikistan? Those corrugated roads rattled bolts loose, broke mounts, and basically shook her motorcycle to pieces. When you're alone, mechanical failure isn't a setback. It's an existential threat. And here's something people forget. Noraly isn't just riding, she's running a full-time media business, completely alone. While living on a motorcycle, she uploads 2 videos every week. She's admitted it's a nightmare and completely exhausting. She rides all day, then edits for hours, often cutting sleep just to upload on terrible internet. And every night she panics a little about whether her episode feels special enough for the YouTube algorithm. It's a pressure cooker that never turns off. The adventure doesn't pause. The algorithm doesn't care. And then, imposter syndrome. She's talked about that too. She doesn't get why people watch her. She uploads knowing she missed things. She worries the standard rises faster than she can keep up. From what I've seen, even her best videos come with this quiet fear of not being good enough. Even the magical moments drain her. She says she sometimes feels like she's a very important journalist, constantly deciding what to film and how, always thinking about angles, pacing, reactions. And when she messes up, she gets instant panic, like everyone's watching live. She said she'll shut all the cameras off immediately whenever she slips up, just to protect herself from imagined judgment. The financial pressure? Heavy, very heavy. Motorcycles, shipping, car nets, repairs, fuel, visas, hotels, gear, insurance, medical bills. The numbers get ridiculous. Her early blog made almost no money, and she watched her savings burn away week after week. She thought about giving up. YouTube didn't just help her, it saved her. And once your whole life depends on something like that, the fear of losing it never really leaves. Communication is another constant battle. She speaks 5 languages, but she avoids translation apps because they can cause dangerous misunderstandings. So instead, she draws, gestures, improvises. Every conversation in a random village becomes a puzzle with real consequences. And then there's the gender stuff, the hostility, the weird comments, the assumptions, border officials asking why she's unmarried, where her husband is, why she's alone. Some follow her with headlights at night. To them, she's not a traveler, she's a vulnerable foreign woman. Maybe wealthy, maybe alone, maybe a target. She has to stay polite, keep smiling, because showing fear can make things worse. Online is no better. People claim she must have a hidden support crew. Male motovloggers get judged on riding skill. She gets judged on her appearance, her availability, whether she looks trustworthy. She's even received messages wishing harm on her. Imagine reading that alone in a tent. Some places hit deeper. In Saudi Arabia's Medina, hotel after hotel refused her because she wasn't Muslim. She finally got a room at 8 at night, only to be pushed out at 7 the next morning to make space for pilgrims. In Yemen, she had to cover her entire body, abaya, hijab, niqab, and wasn't allowed to ride her own bike. She doesn't dwell on it much publicly, but you can tell it stays with her. Then there's the dark side of fame. She once asked a fan group to stop posting her live location, totally reasonable, and they attacked her for it. People who claimed to love her suddenly acted like she belonged to them. That's the ugly part of parasocial relationships. Millions feel connected to her. Millions think they have some kind of claim over her. And when she sets boundaries, they feel betrayed. Her videos even carry ethical weight. After she exposed corruption in Nigeria, the officers involved were fired. She got death threats, and she spent months wondering if she had done the right thing. Her content doesn't just entertain, it shapes how entire countries are perceived. That's a heavy thing to carry. Her route decisions? Honestly, insane. She crossed the Pakistan-Afghanistan border with police escorts, rode narrow cliffside roads in the Hindu Kush to avoid armed checkpoints, came close to being pushed off ravines by aggressive drivers. These aren't tourist choices. These are decisions you make when you're trying to show the world something most people will never see in person. And sometimes, the enemy is just the wind. Patagonia's Zonda winds hit up to 200 kilometers an hour. They shoved her bike sideways for hours. She had to lean her whole body diagonally just to avoid being blown off the road. She couldn't overtake trucks, couldn't film. She once described it like someone blasting her face with a hairdryer while she held an oven between her legs. Then came the crash in Tanzania, the crash that changed everything. Her collarbone shattered into multiple pieces. Surgery punctured her lung. Her shoulder nerves were damaged. Even a year later, she didn't have full sensation back. She still rides with permanent nerve damage, something you never really see, but she feels every day. For someone whose identity is independence, that crash stole so much more than mobility. It forced her to confront limits she'd spent years pretending didn't exist. And even after healing, life didn't go easy on her. Her motorcycle got stolen in Iraq, found, then stolen again in Wales, found again. Then in 2025, she had to cancel her US book tour because immigration restrictions flagged her Middle East travels. For someone who built her life on freedom, being told she couldn't enter felt like a cage. And through all of this, she sacrifices companionship. At 38, she's single, not because she prefers it, but because relationships basically fall apart when your life is a motorcycle pannier. No routine, no shared home, no stability. Her freedom cost her connection, and that quiet sadness slips through in rare moments. Yet, she keeps going through everything. The heartbreak, the crashes, the harassment, the algorithm, the imposter syndrome, the weird online attacks, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the financial pressure, the terrifying roads, the breakdowns, the permanent injuries. She continues, not because she's fearless, but because she refuses to quit. Her courage isn't the loud cinematic kind. You don't see it in the drone footage or the beautiful sunrises. It's in the small, stubborn choices she makes every day. Her courage is riding into fear instead of away from it. It's sleeping alone where most people wouldn't even stop the car. It's pushing through exhaustion and still editing before sunrise. It's doing all of it without asking for anyone's sympathy. And honestly, without ever showing how hard it really is. This is the itchy boots her fans rarely see. And honestly, this is the real story behind the legend.